I see a lot of questions being asked, which is the best property strategy, which is the best property method in 2024. So in this video, I'm going to break down what I think is the best between buy to let and the serviced accommodation model. So for those who don't know me, my name is Thabo Nhlangano. I'm the founder of a company called Love Estates, which has a portfolio of 13 properties, 6 which are owned by us and 7 which are leased out from landlords. The 6 which are owned by us are worth £2 million. So let's get straight into it. So the difference between the buy to let and the serviced accommodation. Buy to let is when you've got a property and you renting it out on a long-term tenancy agreement. So with the buy to let, you get your property, you put it on the market, so you can be doing this yourself or you can get a lettings agent to do this for you. So with the buy to let, you're looking for one tenant to occupy the house. So they're occupying the house and they're signing an AST, assured short-term tenancy agreement. With the AST, buying them for I think contractually is 6 months. Then after 6 months, it's a 1 month rolling contract. You get other ASTs which are 1 year contract. Then after that, it's 1 month rolling. So the tenants who agree a certain rent with the landlord, and that rent is paid every month, every 30 days. So if you've started your tenancy on the 1st of the month, you will be paying that rent every 1st of the month, no fail. Or if you don't pay that rent, the landlord can give you a notice, they can evict you. So that's the AST, which is the long-term traditional way of letting out properties. There are new methods now. One of them which we're going to talk about here is the short-term rental method, aka serviced accommodation, also known as Airbnb. So it's got various names which are thrown about for this. In all essence, it's you've got a property, and with that property, you're renting it out on a short-term basis. So it's no longer the one full tenancy agreement with somebody and that person is paying rent every month. With short-term rentals, you've got a property and you rent that property on a nightly rate, exactly like how hotels operate. So hotels rent out a room by the night. So you'll be renting your property. It doesn't matter what type of property it is. It could be an apartment, flat, studio, house. It could be anything. As long as it's a property, it can house someone, so you can rent it out on a nightly basis. So the difference between these two strategies, number one is long-term is you've got a long-term tenant, they're stuck there, they stay in the property, they pay you. So the difference is on the payment side. With the long-term tenancy, you get paid once a month, whereas with the short-term rental, you get paid every night when someone is staying there. So that's like a bonus, 1 point on the short-term rental side. So the other difference is on the long-term side, a tenant stays in the property. You have to be abiding by certain government rules which protect tenants. So for example, in Scotland, where I currently reside, you had things like rent freezes. You couldn't increase your rents during certain periods of time. You've got things like you can't evict tenants which are maybe vulnerable, or tenants which are facing different types of situations in their life. You can't evict those tenants. So that's another disadvantage of the long-term rental. There are government controls in place for that. But whereas with the short-term rental, you're not having a tenant there, you've got a guest or customer or a client. So for example, if you are going into a hotel room, you're not a tenant of the hotel room, you are a guest of the hotel room. It's the same as in the short-term rental space. You're not a tenant, you are a guest. So you've got your one night agreement with the accommodation host or whatever name you want to call them. So you've got a one night agreement. So that one night agreement can be sent once you booked. Maybe it's in their terms and conditions to say you've only paid for 5 nights, you must stay for 5 nights, and these are the times you need to stay, etc. So you're not liable to any other things. You're not liable to bills, etc. in that property. You're just coming in for your 5 nights and you're leaving. So that's another big difference there. When it comes to eviction, maybe if you don't want this long-term tenant anymore, they're not paying their rent or whatever reason, you have to go through like correct protocols, correct channels for you to evict them. But like for the guest, they can't come in your property until they have paid. Yes, I've had scenarios, or no, not on my side, from people where the guest refuses to leave. So there are ways to deal with that, because if someone is now refusing to leave, so they like consider like breaking the law, because it's either they're squatters or something like that, you know. But in your agreement, you've only told them they can only come and stay for that specific period of time. So if they're refusing to leave, I think you can call the booking platform. They will advise you what to do, whether to call the police or what measures to do. They will help you out with that. So yes, you can get those scenarios, but most of the people who actually book your property, you need to screen them properly. You need to get their ID, you need to ask them to pay a deposit, all these things. But I mean, yes, you do get like those things once in a while where people are refusing to leave, because the agreement which you've given them is they're going to come stay for that specific period of time which they've paid for. If they don't want to leave, if you've got like security in that building, you can call security, because they're now like intruders. They shouldn't be there. The payment which they made is surpassed. They want to stay for illegal, let me call it that. So that's another difference between the long-term rental strategy and the short-term rental strategy. Yeah, so when it comes to actual cash flow, what's the difference between these two? So on the cash flow side, there is debates. And I can say this because on paper, yes, the long-term rental strategy is fixed, and you know your profits, you know your monthly income for a long time. So for example, if you've got a property, a landlord, and you renting it out to that person, they're paying, this is an example, you know, £1,500 a month rent, and maybe you pay your mortgage, which is maybe interest only, you pay £500. So you know every month you've got that £1,000 profit coming in from that property in 12 months. That's £12,000. Whereas with the short-term rental business, it's always based on the nightly rate. So if you're not booked in that certain period, or if you're not booked for 30 nights in that month, you've made zero, so you haven't made money. But if you booked and maybe you are charging, let's say £150 per night, and you book for 30 nights, that's 4,500. So if you look at it, and your rent is also still the same, maybe it's the same property, your mortgage to your mortgage company is £500. So your profit there will be like, you pay your £500, you've been booked for 30 nights, and you left with 4,000. Yes, there will be other expenses like for your bills, etc. Those expenses are covered by you on the short-term rental side. But whereas for the landlord on the long-term rental side, those expenses go to the tenant, because the energy, the bills, the water, the electricity, internet, etc. are covered by the tenant. But whereas for the short-term rental side, those things are covered by yourself. So maybe from the 4,500, you paid your mortgage 500, you paid your bills, etc., another 500, and maybe cleaning, etc., other expenses in the business, you could be left with £3,000 profit. Whereas on the long term, it was £1,000 profit. On the short term side, it was £3,000. So yes, the short term one is better because you've got £3,000 profit, whereas the long term, you've got £1,000 profit, but you know it's 100% guaranteed because it's like monthly income. Whereas this one is sometimes it fluctuates based on the amount of bookings you've got. But if you're running this as a business, you've got educated, you've gone through my training in the link in the description, and you are in the school community group where I teach people how to do this, you won't make mistakes. You will be actually hitting that 100% occupancy rate throughout the year. So there won't be like winter periods which are quiet for a lot of people. You will be getting like the 100% occupancy rate throughout the calendar year, because we don't only market for summer, but we've got various strategies which attract like long-term bookings as well. I think, yeah, that's about it for this video. But if you feel like I've missed anything or you've got questions, you can put them in the comments, and yeah, let's discuss. Let's make this interactive. If you want to start this Airbnb service accommodation business and you don't know where to start and you need guidance, you can book a free consultation call with me, and I will be able to help you, guide you to get your first property. So click on the link below and book a call. I will see you on the inside. Thank you.